Hey guys, welcome to this absolute beginner's course of Blender. Here in this video, I'm going to run you through the absolute basics that you need to get started in Blender. So let's get started. When you first open up Blender, this is the interface that you see. On the scene, you'll see three objects. This is the cube, this is the camera, and this is the light. If you scroll on your mouse, you can zoom in and zoom out. If you're not using a mouse, then it will be very difficult for you, so I suggest that you use a mouse. It would be really easy using a mouse to grab things and go into properties, use tools, so I suggest that you use a mouse instead of your laptop keypads. So here on the top panel we have the menus. Currently we are on the layout menu. If you change the menu from layout to sculpting, you can see the interface has changed a bit. You can see changes in interface as you go along the menus. You'll firstly need to learn the layout menu, which is the starting point of Blender. On the left panel, you will see tools such as the selection tool, the cursor, the move tool, rotation tool, the scale tool, transform tool, and these other tools. The first thing we're going to learn is how to move objects in Blender. So to simply move objects, you can select the move tool here. Simply select the move tool and select the object that you want to move. After you do that, you can see three arrows on three axes. If you click the green arrow, you can move it in y-axis. If you click the red arrow, you can move it on the x-axis, and if you click the blue arrow, you can move it on the z-axis, which is up and down. You can also do the same for any other objects in the viewport. If you click on this white circle, you can move around the object in any axis and in any direction. But when you start to get into Blender, this could be very hard. Every time you need to go into and click into the move tool to move your objects. The easy way is to simply select your object and press G on your keyboard. As soon as you do that, the object will be snapped to your mouse. Now as you move the mouse, you can see that the object or this cube has been attached, and as I move the mouse, the cube also moves. So it's going to be very easy for you to use the shortcut key G instead of using the tool on the left panel. You simply select the object and press G on your keyboard, and you can move the object wherever you want. You can also snap your objects to an axis. As I said earlier, if you press G and then press Y, it will move on the Y-axis. If you press G and X, it will move on the X-axis. And if you press G and Z, it will move on the Z-axis. But other than that, you can also press the middle mouse button, which is your scroll on the mouse. If you press G and the scroll and the middle mouse button, you can snap it to different axes. This is the Y-axis, this is the Z-axis, and this is the X-axis. The next thing we're going to take a look at is how to rotate and scale your objects. If you head over to the tools again, you can click on this rotate tool. As soon as you do that, a circle will form and you can rotate this object into different axes. As I said earlier, the red one is the x-axis, the green is the y-axis, and the blue is the z-axis. Again, you can do it easier by using the hotkey, which in this case is R. If you select an object and hit R on your keyboard, you can move your objects freely without using the tool on the left panel. Again, you can snap your rotation on any axis that you want. Press R for rotate, and if you press any axis, let's say if you press Y, it will be snapped to the y-axis. Again, if you press R and X, it will be snapped to the x-axis, and R and Z for the z-axis. If you want to scale your objects, you can again press the scale tool and scale your objects in any axis that you want, as similar to the move tool and the rotation tool. It also has a hotkey, which is the S on your keyboard. So if you click on an object and then press S, you can scale it. And like the others, you can also snap the scaling, press S and press the axis that you want to scale it in, and it will scale it in that exact axis. If you don't yet know how you can move around in Blender, it's simply you need to click on the middle mouse button, which is your mouse scroll. You simply click on it and then you can move around in this viewport. Other than the scroll key, you can also use this gizmo to move around. You can move around in any direction by selecting the axis again, but it would be a lot easier if you use your middle mouse button on. To zoom in and zoom out much smoother, you can also press the control and the middle mouse button at the same time to zoom in and out in a much smoother way. If you use the scroll key, you can see that it's a bit shaky and it zooms in and zooms out a bit faster, but if you want to move slow, you can just press your control key on your keyboard and the middle mouse button. This way you can see that it's much more smoother than simply using the scroll.